Now, one and Glenn said this when he was on the show yesterday. One of the worst things that Biden did was repeat the unhinged Zionist lie that you can't trust the Hamas death count, the death counts coming out of the Hamas controlled Gaza Health Ministry. Shameful genocide denial. But something that a lot of people forget is just the fact that he repeats the lie that Israel's at war with Hamas. And there are people who just take that at face value. I want to show you guys this. And we explained this yesterday. When you have a civilian death rate, and this is taking Israel's bullshit numbers at face value, which I do not believe at 1 second when it comes to the amount of Hamas soldiers they killed. But if you do believe them, you understand their civilian death rate is around 95%, right? 95 to 99%. They only killed around 2% of Hamas fighters based on their numbers when you have thousands of children dead. So with this fact, you cannot credibly say that Israel is at war with Hamas.
No. Their goal is to create terror. Their goals are terrorist goals. Why would you attack a hospital? That's psychological warfare. It's to kill as many people as possible, to deliberately, intentionally, consciously kill the most vulnerable people, to chase people out, to depopulate Gaza. That is their goal. And that's fine with the US. They just have a PR problem now because of all the protests. That's their goal, is to destroy this place, to depopulate it. But the Palestinian people are resisting just by living in their house. I can't imagine living in a bombed out house. But there are people who've done that. They have. And the other thing, you mentioned him saying that we can't believe the Hamas death count. The most disgraceful thing to me was after Israel bombed that hospital, and they did, to say, well, it wasn't your team. We know it wasn't them. The UN has people who determine who do these things. They could have said, we don't know. But, Hamas bombed their own hospital, or a rocket misfired. It was really Hamas who killed other Palestinians at their tunnels under the hospital. Israel has kidnapped the director of that hospital.
Yes.
The man is in jail because they don't want him to talk. They don't want him to reveal the lies and their propaganda is so sloppy that they said they were keeping guns in the MRI room. Nobody keeps metal in an MRI room. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. But that also tells you what kind of control they have. Their propaganda doesn't have to be very good, because if the corporate media just repeat what the White House says, they can, with many people, they can get away with telling really stupid lies about a hospital or about anything. And I want to mention one thing, because this really touched me, that they ordered doctors and nurses out of a hospital. There were premature babies, too frail to be moved, and they were told the Red Cross would evacuate them. These 5 babies died. They starved to death, and their parents came back. Their kids were dead, and their bodies were decomposing. That's what people cannot abide anymore. The outrage, the revulsion. There is no turning back. There will never again, I don't believe, be silence and acquiescence from the public about what Israel does. And that's why the House passed a resolution equating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism.
Disgusting.
That's to try to shut people up. But you can't unsee it. You can't unhear it. And they've all been exposed, and that is a great thing.
Yes, I have one more thing I want to ask Margaret here, and I'll pass it to you, CJ. Because this is what I was mentioning earlier. Why I hold anyone in contempt who even repeats the Israeli propaganda that Israel is at war with Hamas. Mm-hmm. I read the caption. You guys saw the video play in the background. It was subtitled, so you guys could read it as well. The Israeli forces have destroyed houses and surrounded hospitals this week, but not in Gaza. This is what happening in Jenin in occupied West Bank. How can you say Israel's at war with Hamas when they're attacking and supporting settler attacking people in the West Bank? When they're
And let me
shooting.
tell you how bad that is. The UN ambassador, Linda Thomas Greenfield, truly horrible person, like all of them. She posted something about the settlers need to stop attacking Palestinians. How bad is it that the administration has to publicly acknowledge these Israeli settlers are lynch mobs? That is,
Yeah.
they are killing people, they are driving people out of their homes. There is no other way to describe them. And there's no Hamas in on the West Bank. This is an all-out war against all the Palestinian people, and it's something. Yes, Biden, U.S. could sanction Israeli settlers. I mean, they're not going to
They
do
won't.
anything.
They won't. And the reason I put this up because they won't do it, but it was so bad they had to at least say something about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But sorry, I want you to continue. Go ahead.
no, I had my say, but they it's harder for them to cover up. And I don't know if you noticed yesterday; it was hilarious to me. Chuck Schumer, Senator Charles Schumer, my senator, the Senate majority
Yeah,
leader,
yeah.
Oh
gave
Lord.
this speech about
Oh
anti-Semitism
Jesus
and
Christ.
Jews are fearful, and this is why they're fearful. And the responses to him on Twitter were epic. He was wasted completely. There were a few people saying thank you, but everybody else was like, really, really, Chuck, you can just STFU because it doesn't work anymore to try to say he had relatives who died in the Holocaust. Listen, nobody's in favor of that. You don't have to, and that's the other thing. It's like, I've heard of the Holocaust. Thank you very much. I know quite well what happened at Babi Yar in Ukraine. I already know, but it doesn't work for you to try to use that to shut me up. And that's what they've been doing. It's a way to shut you up. It's a way to keep getting their way.
It's
And
actually
I don't
despicable.
even believe that people like him sincerely believe what they say. They're just trying to crush the opposition, to shut people up, to turn back the clock, and get people to tiptoe around Listen, I have feelings. I have feelings about a government that wouldn't exist without U.S. public money having babies starve to death in the hospital. Those are
And
my
Word.
feelings. Everybody's talking about their feelings now.
yeah,
Until that genie back in the bottle, it's over.
there's a reason why I told you guys I would not be a good public official. I'm not someone who should not be the spokesperson for any cause because my temperament and my feelings of it. If anyone bring up the Holocaust to justify this shit, I would tell them to go fuck themselves to their face. Don't ever use that tragedy to justify why you should genocide another group of people who you guys are illegally occupying. I will look at these people and they talking about how their family died in Holocaust. I would tell you, go fuck yourself. Imagine if I use the fact that I'm a descendant of slaves to justify black violence on any other population. How you guys would react?
Yes, how would you
You guys
react if you said if you if you were I mean, does that apply to anybody else? If a group of
no.
people are oppressed to say, well, we were oppressed, so now we get to oppress. Does that work for anybody else? Is that rule just for one group, or does that work for everybody? It never works for Black people. We're always told to get over it. We're being overly sensitive. Why are we living in the past? Blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah,
we
look,
know what the answer would be if you or I or any other Black person tried to say that.